After 80 days of imprisonment, his first morning of relative freedom, Ai Weiwei, notably thinner than he was at the time of his arrest, back home, but on bail, allowed to leave only with permission, barred from travelling from Beijing for a year, and banned from speaking out.
I'm really sorry. I know you guys have been waiting for a very long time. I'm not worried. I'm in very good condition.
Authorities in Beijing say Ai Weiwei's release late on Wednesday was reward for his good attitude in confessing to tax evasion. But his supporters don't buy that, saying his imprisonment was political, and so is his release. As a world-renowned artist, Ai Weiwei's platform for his criticism of the Chinese government alarmed them enough to want it stopped. But that profile meant calls for his release were loud too. Whether those calls made the difference, whether the release was so Chinese Premier Wen Jiabao could avoid awkward questions during his imminent trip to Europe, or whether the authorities simply felt they'd made their point, remains unclear.
The aim was to silence him, and the authorities have achieved their aim. He's released on bail, which means that he can't give media interview. He probably was coerced into signing an agreement saying that he won't disclose anything that happened during the 80 days he was under police custody. And it also sends a clear message to other artists and to critics of the governments in China. The government can arrest anyone at any time, and don't criticize the government.
Outside his house, journalists gathered under the watchful eye of a state surveillance camera. At one point, his supporters held a brief protest. But official media here ignored the release, just as they'd ignored Ai Weiwei's imprisonment. None of these journalists work for mainland Chinese organisations. In Beijing's art district, few wanted to talk or admit they knew anything about the case. So after 80 days, Ai Weiwei is now out. But he was only ever one of many, and attention now turns to others still detained. Andrew Thomas, Al Jazeera, Beijing.